Hi creative humans, and welcome to this new episode of In Just 10 Notes. Today we are gonna create all the visuals you are seeing right now, starting from a network of just 10 nodes based on point cloud instancing technique. So, let's start. First node in our network is gonna be a sphere SOP. So, let's add that one, and I'm gonna put it in a geo. And here obviously we are gonna build our standard render setup. So I'm connecting here the geo, putting down a camera, otherwise we have the error in the render because the render, this is a 3D, the render doesn't know what to look at. And I'm gonna add a constant material. With the constant material I'm gonna drag over the geo and set it as material. With the constant material we don't need a light, so we are saving one node, and I'm also adding a noise stop. And for now I'm just put it as monochrome off because I want colors, and allowing instancing and use it as an instance reference for translation, and set the XYZ as RGB. Okay, we have already 6 nodes down, so I'm gonna add a feedback. Of course, I'm doing something that is not like proper technique because I'm not putting a null after the render or after the sphere before going to the geo, just because we are staying within our restriction of 10 nodes for the challenge. But if you're a beginner, remember to do it in your usual practice because it's really helpful and you're gonna need it further in your journey. Then I'm adding a level that is gonna help us controlling the feedback loop, and then a displace top, and I'm gonna use both inputs with the same level. And then I'm gonna close this feedback loop with a composite, connecting with the start render, and put it as a reference for the feedback. And here we are. I'm gonna tweak a bit the parameters here, and for now I just wanna bring the radius really down from here, something like 0.03. It's gonna be our starting value. And also you can see here that you have one single sphere reference with the instancing based on the RGB colors from the noise. And the first thing I want to do is to set this number lower, because this is setting up the numbers of particles that are created based on the position. So we have 70 particles on the x-axis and 70 on the y-axis. So if you start seeing that your FPS is dropping, depending on your machine obviously, you can try lowering that number so your machine has to deal with less instances, and it's gonna help it. And also we want full color range. You can see the difference going to 30-bit float, because now we also have the negative value in the RGB. Okay, and I'm gonna play to have a first idea. And I also, this is now static, but I want it to move, so I am adding some movement in the Z direction. I'm gonna set something really small for now, that even if it's really... okay, this is better, something like that. So we have our point cloud moving. I'm gonna translate a bit our camera so we are a bit more centered, and you can start seeing what is happening. And I'm lowering the opacity and changing the mode to over instead of multiplying, so you can start seeing something happening. Okay, this is our base setup, and now we are gonna tweak the parameters and create all our visuals. Hi, this is Editing MechBull. Just a quick heads up, this video ended up being so much longer than I originally planned, so I decided to split it into two parts to keep things more manageable here. So the first part that is gonna be here on YouTube is gonna cover 6 of the total 10 visuals that you have seen in the intro, and I've moved the rest over my Patreon. So if you're interested in diving deeper and checking out the full content, you can find the extended version over there. The link is in the description, and as always, your support means a lot to me. Thanks you so much. Back to the visuals. Okay, starting from this situation, we can change the type of the sphere now to polygon. We already set the radius, so we are fine with it. And we are gonna tweak the noise type to purling, reduce the period. So we are going for a messier kind of noise here, lowering the harmonics, a little bit more of harmonic spread, and also I'm gonna change the exponent to something higher. You're gonna see that the exponent in this kind of point cloud setup controls how spread are the particles, so it's kind of a density control, and a similar effect does the amplitude. So I'm spreading it to have a lot of chaos going on, and also I'm gonna move it a bit. This is just going to move it back and forth. Okay, we have the feedback giving us this weird effect, but we are just moving back and forth on the axis. I'm just moving it not for the position itself, because it's pointless, but because we're also gonna use these colors as a color reference in a bit. So here we are. I'm gonna change the alpha to a lot more transparent, and since you modify the alpha from 1, I need to enable the blending transparency, and I'm using, this is the really fun thing, the same noise of the instance, because we don't have another one, as a reference for the color map. So now our constant color is not constant anymore, but has the same pattern from the noise. And I already like this kind of bubbles thingy going on. So from here, I'm gonna just move a bit the camera in order to center it. Okay. And I also wanna go so much closer to this bubble mess. Okay. I love what's going on. We are almost there. You can start seeing what's the deal here. We don't touch anything for the... oh no, we change the resolution maybe? Okay. And also I wanna 16-bit float here. Okay, we are good with the feedback, and we tweak a bit the level here. So I'm bringing the opacity to something like that. Here I want a bit of black level, and also I'm lowering the brightness and the gamma just a tiny bit. And here we are not even using the displays, so it's actually 9 nodes, so really little nodes needed to do this stuff. I really love TouchDesigner, it's magic. And this time I'm using this way to create a full black background that is pumping up the alpha in the level setting, but then we are gonna see a different method later. Okay, and now I'm just gonna swap here. This does the same of changing manually the connection order of the inputs, and here we are. This is our final result for the first visual. We want to bring the sphere type back to mesh, lower the radius. Okay, I'm just gonna put it manually like this. Okay, is 0.0045 for radius for all directions. And I'm gonna lower the details so much more, otherwise my computer is gonna hate me. Okay, also we don't need it. We don't need more resolution, and actually we want to go with this kind of triangular shape let's go with the bigger period or 3, like right now. I also like this kind of space thing that is going, meteorites, how do you call it, that is going on in the background, but is not our goal now. So harmonics to 3, I'm gonna reset the harmonic spread. I want the exponent around 1, a little less, amplitude to 1. Okay, that's fine. And offset to 0. So now we have moved all the particles and can't see anything, and I need a lot more of those, so 300, 300. For the instancing, I'm not gonna change anything here, but I'm removing the noise from the color map, so we are back to the constant color, and I'm gonna change that for something different. In my case, this kind of pale pink, even less. Okay, something like that. Really, really pale pink, but up to you, just what you like most as a color. And I'm gonna give it back a bit of alpha. Okay, in the camera I just wanna to see it, what I'm doing, so I'm going back near the origin point and a little further, and we are gonna do something interesting here. I'm gonna change the FOV angle to 24. Okay, so now we see kind of much closer in a way. And I'm gonna do something really interesting, that is adding here the background color. I'm going for a blue, but you can do what you prefer. Something like that, really bright. And also I'm gonna add a fog, a bright green fog that is gonna help creating some effect, and I want that the far parameters is instead not so far but so much nearer. Okay, and also for the fog alpha I want it like more dense, kind of. And I never used it, the fog parameters before, so I don't know exactly how they works. I researched a bit the documentation, but I'm not an expert. And now for the level, I'm gonna reset all the parameters we already set. We are start from scratch because it's easier, and we are gonna set the opacity, okay, to 0.85, and I'm gonna increase a bit the brightness, but just to my taste. And also here we are not gonna use that displays, so still in just 9 nodes. And I'm gonna change the type of operation to burn, not burn linear, sorry, burn color, and unswap. No, sorry, not swapping. Staying here. And something is off. Oh, okay, I see. Because we put the background, but the alpha is still 0, so we have to enable that. Okay, now we have the background. Okay, and also, yeah, the harmonic spread, I want it so much more chaotic here. Okay, and here we have it. You can tweak the colors using the combination of fog background and material color to your taste, but this is our graffiti pattern. For the next visual, first of all, I'm gonna reset this camera setting because they are pretty crazy. It's faster this way. In the sphere, I'm bringing the primitive type back to polygon and set the radius to 0.002. I'm typing it because it's faster. And now I'm gonna adjust the noise. I want the period back to 2. I'm gonna leave the harmonics as they are. The harmonic spread to 2.2 and the gain to 0.4. Exponent and amplitude to 1. I'm just gonna round those up. And also I want the movement much slower. Okay, and also I'm gonna put the resolution, so the particle number, to 150. Okay. Now from here I'm also gonna change this color up to my taste, but since we are going for an underwater look, I'm going for a bluish color and set the alpha to 0.4. Now I'm gonna set up the camera to be around here, and I'm gonna change the focal length. I'm gonna use the focal length instead of the full angle. What I want to achieve is to have the particles in the foreground much more bigger than those in the background, and also I'm gonna put the near crop to 0 so I can see all the particles even if they are totally in front of the camera. Put the background alpha to 1 so we have the black background going on, and then also I'm gonna reset this level and start from scratch. I want a little bit of contrast more, and in the opacity we want 0.85. So we start seeing something, but now we change the composition type to art light, and here we have our magic dust going on. I like this result, but actually I prefer if the noise is set to simplex 3D. It gives me more like a chaotic random particles flowing around, and it really reminds me of like when you see underwater dust particles moving with the lights glowing on them. Okay, for this visual we're gonna bring the radius to 0.016 in all dimensions. We are not gonna touch these parameters from the noise. I'm just gonna fix the exponent to 0.73, it's fine, and the amplitude to 2.2. And also, since we are gonna use this as colors instance also, I want the offset to something like that. Okay, that's great. And also I wanna move a little bit faster. Okay, that's great. Now, to the camera, I wanna move a bit what we are seeing and move backwards. Now, I don't need the color in the material, so I'm gonna bring it back to the default white and also have it the full alpha here. And also, I'm gonna reset all parameters in the level and just change the opacity. Okay, and for the first time we are gonna use the displace. This is clearly too much. We are gonna just put negative 0.001 in both my dimensions. I forgot to instance the color operator in the second page of the instance. And I also want to use the same noise as a scaling instancing here. I'm gonna just use one channel so that the scale is uniform in all the direction, and we are gonna change the operation to luminance difference. Now the big change to make this effect live is changing the UV weight to something like 0.92 obviously, and you're seeing that is happening. And since I really like the reflection into bubbles that are overlapping each other, I'm gonna bring up a bit the contrast here, just a tiny bit, so I wanna enhance it. And I also am gonna fix this FOV angle in the camera just to 60, and I will reset the near and far parameter. Okay, this is already it. I'm gonna move a little bit far away, and right now I think I wanna go like here, a little bit more on the right. And here we are. I really like this kind of liquidy bubbly effect. Oh, and the last thing, I'm not a fan of this kind of noise here, so I'm gonna change it back to purling, which is a bit more tidy. Okay, and I really like the final effect. Also, maybe we can go back. Okay, like here, because I prefer the bluish part, but this is just me. And this is ready. This time we are going for a more like traditional point cloud effect, so I'm bringing the particles dimension back to something really small, like 0.005, so our bubbles are pretty small. I'm just tweaking a bit the noise, so I'm having the period at 0.59, okay. And the harmonics just to 1, harmonic spread is fine as it is, the harmonic gain is fine. Just bring the exponent a bit higher, amplitude back to around 1, maybe just a bit less, and we can leave the offset. Okay, in the instance we don't need the scaling anymore this time, but I'm gonna still use the color, so I'm leaving that. Also, the material is fine as it is. Just gonna fix a bit the camera position, like this. I'm gonna still use the background with the alpha 1. And in the level, I'm going back with contrast 1 and having the opacity to something really high, almost 1. And I'm gonna displace in the positive direction of just 0.002 and bring the UV weight back to 1, so we have this kind of smoke effect. And we have just a really easy over operation. I'm gonna pulse it. Also, I want those particles to move so much faster, so we are gonna use, okay, like that. In the camera, I want also to reset the FOV angle to the standard one, and I wanna increase the number of particles a lot. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, and now to have our smoky effect, we need to unswap the order of operation, and here we have it. So I consider this kind of a bonus visual, because I guess it's not in everyone's taste, because it's really glitchy, but I like it and I thought it was an interesting technique, so I'm gonna quickly go through it. We're gonna need our radius about 0.02, so we are going so much bigger. We are back to the mesh, and I wanna just M4 details. That is not necessary if your computer prefers staying with the 3M3, that is fine. On the noise, I'm going with the period back to 2, something more tidy and organic. More harmonics, a lot of less harmonic spread, so something like 0.5. Harmonic gain like 0.7, okay. The exponent is fine, and the amplitude a little bit less. And also the offset is okay, like this. I'm gonna slow it down a bit, and I'm gonna put more particles here, like 500, but also a little bit less is gonna work. We are leaving the instancing with the translate and the colors and the material as a standard. I'm gonna quickly adjust the camera just a tiny bit, so we are more close and centered, hopefully. And I also am gonna change just a bit the FOV angle, but this is probably not necessary. And this time I want a more bright background, so I'm going for a, yeah, this kind of pastel blue color. we want to have the alpha to 1 in any case. Okay, and now the fun part. To get that glitchy effect, we are gonna use the chroma difference, which is pretty crazy, but in this way we are soon have that disappear. So in the level we want full opacity, and instead I'm gonna invert it completely. And the display is fine as it is, with just 0.002 in both direction. So I'm gonna pulse it, and I'm just gonna fix this extend to mirror and swap the operation order again. Oh, okay, sorry, there is one important thing in the displays. We wanna uncheck this so we can move it freely and have the offset weight up to 1, so we have this kind of geometric mirroring effect going on. Let's gonna pulse again. Okay, and here we have it. It's a bit crazy, and I think it's really not in everyone's taste, but I like this kind of glitchy rainbow visuals. Let me know in the comments or on Instagram if you make any of these, if you experiment with this setup network. I'm super curious to see what you come up with. Thanks a lot for watching. You can find the extra visuals on my Patreon, and till next time, have fun and stay creative. Bye!